Sonto and Zikora, you were in class last time. What did we learn last time? Just for us to be able to understand the next step to take. If you understand, if you're following this, what we are teaching and what's, I don't want a situation that I'm teaching continuously and we're not following. So, do you remember what we learned last week and what was the takeaway from what you learned? Here's my lecture notes. I this lecture, I don't know, I'm not communicating. If
We learned conditionals.
lecture, then you can tell me, then maybe you can attend less nice time. Like I like interactive lectures. I It's not, it's supposed to be interactive. If you have something else you're doing, you can continue next week. You can join the lecture, but it's not
We learned
proper to be asking questions and no one is answering.
we
Okay,
learned about conditionals.
In Python.
so
And the
and
if and the else statements as well.
the if and else statements in your calculator application. Have you been able to apply any of what we've learned last week
Yeah,
in
I
your
think so. Let me
calculator?
check.
So how long will it take to share that screen? Will it take time so that I can do something else? So I think that's taking time. So when you're ready, let me know. So I just want to introduce what we're doing today. So today we're doing loops in Python. Um, in all programming languages that I know, I can say that we all have loops, and also in our daily lives we have activities that replicates what we've known as loops. So the first question is, what are loops in programming? Why do we need it? How do we use it? And why do we need it when we are programming? One of the things that always comes to my mind when I'm talking about loops is something that repeats over and over again. So in programming, uh, when you're ready, something, let me know. So it's something that repeats. So I said we're looking at loops, and loops in programming, it's any program or any block of code that repeats multiple times. It keeps repeating. And one of the things they told me when I was learning loops, it repeats. If you, for example, you make it repeat, it could repeat forever. There's something we call infinite loop. So something that repeats forever. And since it repeats forever, there should be a condition that you can add to it that makes it to stop at a certain point. So these activities are what we call loops. For example, let's use a car without a brake, and the car will drive forever. And what process did you think that they did to make the car stop? There was a condition that was given that if this happen, do this. So today we're going to look at loops and the activity and how it also occurs in our everyday lives. So in Python, we're going to discuss three types of loops that you will encounter as you progress. And Just to hear from one of us, does anyone have idea about loops? Have you used it before? What is it? What do we use it for? How did you use it? So I want to hear from you before we progress. Oh my God. Yes. What do you understand by loops? I just want to hear from you. Is anyone talking? Can you hear me at all?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you understand by loops?
Loops are like is a block which makes stuff repeat. Like for example, the forever block could be an example of creating a loop. Like if you put anything inside it, it would loop forever.
To loop forever. When you say loop forever, I guess you mean like something happening continuously, like it repeats continuously forever. Because loop is the word like in programming. So I want you to break it down in our own common language that we use in everyday life. So that is it. So let's start. I guess we all know how to use loops. There are a lot of daily activities that we do that happens that we say, okay, this is, this activity is about I don't know how to put it, but it's something like we are doing this thing in a loop, or we're doing this thing continuously in our daily lives. So, like I said, we have three ways we could depict loops. One is the while loop, another one is the for loop, and we have the do while loop. The do while loop, a lot of people don't really use it in their coding, but it's very, very important. So first and foremost, we'll look at how do we write loops in Python. The first one, we're going to start with the while loop. I think for me, in my way when I'm writing code, I don't really use the while loop. It's not like I don't use it, but my default is mainly the for loops. But you just need to know that they all have their specific purposes in case you decide to use them. And that is why we want to look at it individually, like why do we use it? How do we use it? So I guess the best way for me to introduce the while loop and the for loop is for me to say the differences between them. You have the while loop, which, like I said, if you write a loop and you don't give it any condition, it happens forever. So when you look at what we have on the screen, you have the while, and the next one is the condition. Then you have the code that repeats. So the while in programming is what we call like a keyword. It is a word that is one programmer has already embedded this thing in the Python code, that anytime you're defining while loop in Python, you must always use the keyword while. So it is a standard that you need to abide by. Then we have the condition that we apply to the while loop. This condition is written by us. You need to instruct the code how it should occur. So, and that is where the art of programming comes in. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? So that is where you begin to instruct your program, your computer on what you need a computer to do. And that condition that you're adding is what determines how your program should run. I think a lot of times, young programmers, the first thing they run into is to encounter infinite loops. And what do we call infinite loops? They are loops that they run forever. sometimes they run and they max out your system because they're running and maybe you're saying in the while loop, in the main code, what you told this program to do is to download files. So just imagine you said y is true. Let's imagine you're just writing the program and you say, let's say this condition that you're writing, let's change it to true. You just did this. This code that I just wrote is going to run forever. Maybe here I said download a file. Download a file. Always remember that I think I've taught about indentation in Python. Python uses indentation, and I know you all know how to indent in Python. So I say download a code, right? So this program, what happens to this program? If I'm downloading a file and I say why true, this code is going to run forever because I don't have a condition to tell this code to end. So one of the things in while loop is you state the condition, then in your main code you could also, maybe I'm saying why this code, or maybe our variable is less than 5. I'm saying do this. Okay, so let me say I say why, maybe I have is less than 0. I have a variable, maybe I've defined a variable number. Let me say number is equal to 6, and y num is less than 6, is less than y num is greater than 0, sorry, is greater than 0. Then what happens if I don't also put in my code to reduce this num value? What happens? This code is going to continue running because it's not going, nothing is happening. I'm not telling this code to reduce the number or increase the number. So I'm telling the code to continue running because the goal for that condition is continue running until that condition is met. And as long as that condition has not been met, it can never stop. So one of the things they teach when you're writing your program is how to mitigate the issues of running into infinite loop, because that is the very first way to max out your system. Sometimes you just see your system will just maxed out. Maybe you run into Stack Overflow. As it progresses, you understand what Stack Overflow is all about. So that is for while loop. This is just the how to handle your while loop. You have the keyword, you add your condition, then you state your code, you write out your code. So Python checks the condition. If the condition is true, it runs the code inside the loop. It keeps doing this until the condition becomes true, becomes false. So, and that is the example I said. You need to put a condition, and when you put that condition, make sure you are also updating your code to ensure that it gets to a point that the condition becomes true. So one of the examples that we could look at is something like give me a minute, sorry. So okay, so one of the examples is what we have on the screen, and I'm saying we have second equal to 5. Sorry, the example I gave earlier, I thought I was working on this the code that is on the screen. I didn't know it was another. I was updating my own personal file. So sorry about that. But this is the code I was working on, and I said we could change this condition to true. And if we have y true, this code is going to run for a very long time without stopping. Okay, so sorry, I didn't know I wasn't showing this screen. So imagine a countdown before a game starts. So this is just a typical example of how to use the while loop. If there's anything you don't understand about how to use this while loop, please let me know. So we have a variable. We all understand how to create a variable, and we've assigned a number. We've assigned a number 5 to it. Then we have the Y keyword, which is what we've said earlier. Sorry. Then we are saying if seconds is greater than 0. If second is greater than 0, you say repeat why this second is greater than 0. This is it's going to keep repeating why this excuse me, let me take water. So this condition repeats as long as this number is greater than 0. So what happens? We print time left and we put the seconds. So for us to make sure that this condition is met, you see, we are reducing it by 1, reduced by -1. And it will get to this code we keep running until this condition is met. Remember, just like when we learned conditionals that I said to for your while loop, you still have that column. You have y, which is the keyword, then you add your condition. The next thing comes with column, then you have your code, your block of code. So in this code, can someone tell me if we print this application? Let me see. If I print this, if we run this application on and I want it to print, how many times will time left print, and how many times will times up print? Sorry, I'm listening. For the code we have on the screen, how many times will time left print and times up?
Time left will print 5 times and time up 1 time.
Okay, that's very good. So time left to print 5 times and time up will print just once. So Gabriel, can you tell us why times up will print once?
It will print once because only it will print once, but only if you put break at the end, because it will only be once that seconds will equal 0.
Okay, so I want to clarify that aspect. If you look at this code, the only thing that the while loops embodies, like the block of code that runs inside the while loop, is only these ones, that the print time left and the second. These are the only ones that applies to that loop that will loop 5 times. And any other thing outside, you see that the while loop is the same line, aligns the same with the print, with this print. It means that the print times up is not inside the loop. So it's not going to, whatever that is happening inside the loop is not going to apply to you. So why I asked that question is for you to understand the indentation in Python, so that you are expecting a particular behavior and you're not getting it, so that you can easily catch why that happened. So any code, if you want any code to happen inside a particular block, please always indent it. And when you see the while loop, you would see that there's indentation where we have the print and we are reducing it by 1. Those are the only code that will run inside it. So Gabriel, that is correct, but I want you to understand why we don't have. Okay, excuse me, let me just finish this thing. So why print times up is being printed only once. So I also gave this, so what happens here, we print. So I also wanted to clarify that because of the way we are doing it, it's counting down. It's counting down, and it starts with 5. It's reducing it by 1. It prints it, so it's reducing it until it gets to number 0, and it says, is second greater than 0? It said no, and it comes out of the code. Immediately the condition is not met, the program stops. So that is how that. So Samuel, can you raised your hand?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, how do you indent a block of code?
Okay, so indent a block of code. Go to the easiest way. I see a lot of people, when you're doing it, you do space, you space it. You keep spacing. That is not the correct way to indent your code. So are you on your keyboard? Can you see your keyboard right now?
Actually, I'm on my phone.
Okay, so when we are doing coding class, you need to be on your laptop because that is the best way to code. Okay, so yeah, try as much as possible to get a laptop, no matter how it is. At least from the stage we are at the moment, you should be able to do just a minimal coding on the laptop. And if you have, if you want how to go about the laptop stuff, you can reach out to me privately and I will guide you. Okay, we have some cheap laptops that you can get to just help you to learn more during the lecture. So, but just in case when you later get your hands on a laptop, on your keyboard we have what we call the tab key on your keyboard. So if you want to indent at any time, just hit the tab key. Okay. So when you hit the tab key, it will indent it automatically. You don't need to do shift. Don't use shift, because if you use shift, you will not get the expected result. And that goes to everybody. So Samuel, thank you for that question. And if you need any support with the laptop, please let me know, because I want everybody to learn so there we're talking about, because when it comes to loop, I think the main thing in loop that you need to understand is, if you can understand how to manage the conditions, you'll be able to handle any type of loop. So, and there are different examples of how to manage your conditions, to apply your conditions. And we just gave example as if command is not equal to exit. Now, as long as that command that you've given is not equal to exit, I think in this class we've also learned how to get command from the system, from a user. So if in this code, what I'm trying to say is, if the command I'm entering, I didn't type exit, as long as it's not exit, it will keep asking me to enter the exit word. So you see, I said, why is not it equal to exit? He said, impute. That impute means I'm asking the user to enter that word, exit. And as long as immediately the user enters that word, exit, the program stops, because the condition has been met. So I gave series of examples. So please, I always share the lecture notes in the comment section. You can go through the lecture notes to give you a better picture of what we are learning. And I try as much as possible to put a lot of examples to also help you during the lecture. We also record this video, we record the classes. So if you want to learn more, you can also watch the class again. So apart from the conditions that we talked about, we also have what we call the continue and the break keywords. So now I'm going to just explain, just from my coding experience, what continue is. If your program is running, like the example we gave before, okay, and I said, as long as the number is greater than 0, it will keep printing out the number. And you saw it's printed 5, it's printed 4, it printed 3, if you remember. Now, I don't want a situation that it will print 3. It's printed 5, it printed 4. But what if I don't want to print 3? What happens? Then when it gets to printing 3, what I will tell it, since I don't want it to print 3, I will say continue. So immediately I say that continue, it goes to the next, it's like telling the loop, go to the next task. Forget about what you're doing right now. Just go to the next task. And that is what continue is. So let's just assume I'm doing this particular task and I encounter continue. And you say, drop whatever you're doing. I don't want this activity. I don't want it to happen. Go to the next activity. So that's what continue means. And if you understand it like that, it's going to go a long way. I think when I started coding, and they taught me how loops, the person that taught us about this continue and the break keyword, we'll look at the break keyword later. It didn't really explain it. And this, over the years, this was a problem to me. I didn't know the where to apply it and how to use it. But since I understood it this way, I just want everybody to know that this is just the best way to handle it. Just know that abandon whatever you're doing and do the next activity. So if it was printing 5, 4, and the next activity is 3, as long as it encounters continue, 3 will not be printed. It will go to 2. It will print 2 and 1. That is how it works. So it's just like an interrupt. Like you interrupted that process. You don't want that process to occur. So like that's just what the continue keyword does. So sometimes we want to skip one loop step, but continue with the rest. It's just like skip this activity and continue with the rest. We use the continue keyword. Please try as much as possible, whatever project you're writing next time, try to use that continue. You'll see it will help a lot. So start with I equal to 0. Use while loop that turns as long as I is less than 6. So I gave an example. I said y equals to 0. Why I is less than 6, I is 0. So the condition is true. I is less than 0. 0 is less than 0. And as long as 0 is less than 0, then we increment I by 1. So I becomes 1. If I equals to 3, then continue. Skip the rest of this code. Then I is 3. So if you see my output, you see that there's no 3, right? So that is what the continue keyword does. I hope I have the break. But I just want you to know that the break, just like we have the continue, we also have what we call break. Maybe in the next lecture, I will show you how to use break. So the break is just, instead of skipping, just stop the loop. Just stop the loop. I don't want this. If you encounter this thing, stop it completely. So maybe next week, I'll give you an example of how to use loops. Continue. So I think I forgot to include breaks. So maybe it won't be in that your notes. So for loops, for for loops, so now we've concluded about the while loops. Then we want to look at the for loops. So, and I think the best way to teach us how to the for loops is to look at the differences between them. When we're using the for loops, we have what we call the while, which is the keyword. We have the condition. Then we have our code. And you remember that in our code, we were doing something like increments, just to manage our condition, to make sure that our condition is met. But in for loop, the for loop is interesting, is more complete, like your condition and how you want it to function. You can define it as a goal as you're defining that for loop. Some programmers will tell you that maybe the for loop, if you already have your conditions, you know the number of times you want that loop to run. Maybe I want this loop to run 10 times. So you just use your for loop because you already have mental picture of how long you want this loop to run. But if you don't know how long it's going to run, maybe I said, run this loop 1,000 times. You don't have an idea how it's going to run. So you just use your while loop. You could say while true, and while true, it keeps running. And you could say when it gets to 1,000, please stop. You break out of the loop. That is where while loop becomes very important. But if you're using for loops, you're now like saying run 1,000 times. Imagine your system, it will keep running. Your system, it makes this whole application slow. So which sometimes is not encouraging, like handling your code in that way. So we're going to look at it before I do a lot of explanations. For a while loop, for a for loop, repeats code every time in a sequence. In a sequence, you already have, like I mentioned, you already have the number of times you want this code to run. So the best loop to use is the for loops, which we have. How do we manage the for loops? We have the name of the list that you want to run through. You remember when we said here, it said repeats code for every item in a sequence. So you already have your sequence. And what is our sequence? I think some of you that have been attending this class, we thought about the list. If you in Python, we'll call it list, but list in Python is like array in other languages. So if you've come across anywhere they've talking about array, this is array in Python. This is how it is defined in Python. So let's assume we want to loop or want to go through all these items in this list. How do we do it? So we use what we call the for loops to go through this list. So the for loops in Python, how do we handle it? Because every languages in programming, they have a particular way how they handle their own loops. So in Python, we have the for keyword, then we have the name of the list that you want to run through. You want to see all the items inside that list. So you write the name of the list, then in students. So this is the attendant list. We have the names. Each of the names will have Alex, Binta, Chidi, Dara, right? So for name in list in student, so we have the list is students and the names, because we want to get each of these names. So what this code does is it's going to run. How many times is this code going to run? Just want to make sure that we're following. How many times will this code run? This part, example, attendant list. I'm listening. Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, you can hear me. Can you see the example that I'm giving? I said the attendance list. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a list where we have 4 names, right? So
Yes.
and I will have a for loop, and based on my explanation, I said a for loop lets you, like, it's used to run through a particular list and print out whatever that is in that list. It's like you know the number of that list and you want to print them out. So this example so based on what we have here, I said for name, which is this name is referencing each of these names inside this list. And how many times do you think that this code will run?
We go 4 times.
It will run 4 times. So that is very good. I want to make sure that you're following, you understand what we are doing here. So why is running 4 times? Because we have 4 items in that list, right?
Yes.
So So the loop goes through each name in the list and prints it. So that is one thing that you need to know. How do we use this thing? I know that some of the topics it might be too advanced for some of us, but just try to follow. Maybe next time when we look at it, you might be able to catch up with some of the things we are doing. So counting with range. So from what we looked at before, we have 4 items, and I don't want to print all the items. We have from Alice, Binta, Chidi. I just want to print Binta and Chidi. So that is what we call range in Python comes in. So we have counting with range. So what this is saying is I want the range. I want to start from get the values or get the names from the first item, right, to the 6th item. And in programming, I want you to know that when we are looking at list, our list in programming always starts from 0. It doesn't start from 1. So it doesn't start from 1. So if we're saying from range 1 to range 6, so you always need to be careful the ranges you're giving, because this range, when you say 1, so it's saying this is 0, Alex is 0. That is the index. We call it indexing in programming. So Alex is 0, Binta is 1, and TD is 2, and Dara is 3. So now when you want to give a range, that also determines how you give your range. So meaning that it will start from Binta, and if we have up to 6 items, then the 6th one will be printed. And in some situations, when the 6th one that you're expecting to see the 6th item, remember, is the 5th item that will be printed. So we'll go through that aspect when we are talking about list and how to handle indexing in list. So that is just a very brief picture of how to handle range, but it's saying, I don't want everything in this list. I want you to just give me a certain part of this list. And I also gave series of examples. I'm saying we have the range. I want to start from range 1, print the item from index 1 to index 11. Know that what will be printed stops at 10. If I give an example, you're writing a code, you have from 0 index to 11 index. Know that it's not the 11th item that will be displayed, it's the 10th one, because that 10th one will start from index 0. So that is how we handle the computer handles indexing. We'll look at indexing because it's very, very important, so that when you see what is printed, sometimes you won't get confused. So we have the do while loop. A lot of people don't really use this loop. It's just mostly for advanced programming and all the time. But I just want you to be aware of this do while loop. What do while loop does is mainly it will always print the first code. It will always run. Like we'll call it, the code will always run before the condition. You know, when we did the while loop, the condition was the first thing that ran, but in do while loop, the condition is the last thing. So and for us to see that example, we say while true, if not condition, breakout. So you see what happened. The while loop comes first. Comes first before the condition. So when you're handling do while loop, but so that it doesn't confuse you, there are a lot of things going on there. But just know that the condition, the code comes first before the condition. So 80% of the time when it comes to the do while loop, the first code, the first the first condition doesn't run. Like if I have print Juliet will always run before the condition comes. So that is just the difference between these three loops. We have the while loop, we have the for loop, but generally one of the things you'll be using mostly is the while loops and the do while loops. As we progress, one of these days I will take time to teach you do while loop. Maybe it will be necessary one of these days when you're writing your code. So but this is I gave some examples. You can look it up and see if there's something you want to do, how you can use it, how you can apply it in your code. For those of you that you have your code already, just look at how you can apply it so that will help you navigate maybe in your code future and your future code writing. There's something we call algorithms. I did a lot of algorithms during my coding. Those things you can enter algorithm challenge, which helps a lot when you're doing algorithm challenge. All these loops, different types of loops are very important. So you can enter one of the challenges. Maybe you'll be able to understand their importance. So as I said, I've given several examples of the infinite loops. So never-ending loops. They are that is one of the major problems that people have when you're using loops, and that is why I keep emphasizing it. Is it very important that you understand why infinite loops, So if you forget to change the variable in a while loop, it may never stop. If I said I is less than or equal to 5, and there's no way I'm updating the number I. I'm not doing anything. This code is going to run forever. So what we call this kind of code is bug. Is a buggy code. I is never changed, so this loop never ends. So I gave an example of how to fix this code. And how did I fix this code? You need to be updating the value I. You can either be increasing it or you're reducing it. Something needs to be happening to Y. If not, you're going to run into infinite code. So remember, like I was telling you, you see the range that we have, 1 by 1 errors. So I'm just trying to bring out things that could cause errors in your coding. We said range 1 to 5. So remember, this will give 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see that the 5 is not included. And why is it not included? Because index 5 stops at 4. I said it started from 0. So it will go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is how many numbers? 5, because it started from 0. So that when you see something like that, you're not surprised like what's going on. So you see also in this second example I gave, from 1 to 6, you see it's only printed 5 numbers, because from 1 to 6 is how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But the 6th value will not be printed. Okay. So those things are very important, so that when you start using your for loops and you're expecting something to happen and you didn't see it and you begin to panic, is it that the code is not working or what is going on? I also problem with the continue in while loop. These are some of the problems you could encounter before changing your variable. You can get stuck. So please go through the notes. Some of the things we were not able to cover in class you'll be able to do 1 or 2 things to understand it. I also try to check your understanding. Sum 1 to 100 numbers. Use for loops to sum 1 to 100 numbers. Just see it, run it in your code. You don't need to have an IDE, okay? You don't need to have an IDE. You install your IDE on your system. There are a lot of IDEs online that you can use to just complete these tasks. The second one I said password attempts. Okay, Samuel, I'll be right. I'll call you. Let me just finish this thing that I'm writing. I said password attempts. I want everybody to try this code. Try this. Choose a secret password in your code, like Python 1, 2, 3. Allow the user to try up to 3 times. Allow the user to try entering it 3 times. I want in the next lecture, if you're coming to that class, you're going to demonstrate, show me what you've done with the first one. You need to do all of them, but I want the second one. I want you to complete these tasks for the password attempts. So and next week I'm going to ask for that code. So yeah, Samuel.
I wanted to ask, is this like a homework?
Yes, it's like an homework. Complete from number 1 to number 4. That
So how do I do it on mobile?
Sorry?
How do I do it on mobile?
It will be difficult to be fair. Your parents' laptop. Does anyone have a laptop in your house?
No one has a laptop.
Okay, please try to reach out to me during the week. We need to talk about it. Maybe I can reach out to your parents. You need to get one as soon as possible, okay? So yeah. So does anyone have a question? Zikora, Somto, do you understand? What do you understand about what we've learned today? Yeah, let me start from there. Zikora and Somto, I don't know what's going on. Can somebody talk, say something? Okay, I guess you're not in this class. Gabriel. Gabriel, are you in this class?
Sorry, ma, Alex.
Okay, Alex. Okay, so what do you understand by what we've learned today?
While true makes the code run forever, it's like a forever block in Scratch, and break like stops the code.
Stops the code. So do you understand how to use continue, the continue keyword?
Yes, ma'am.
So
it continues, but then skips it as well. And for example, if you are to use if let's say x equals 3, if x was a variable going up, continue, then you would show 1, 2, 4, 5, and so on.
Okay. So if I have I want to print 5 numbers, and I'm saying print from 1 to 4, which are the numbers that will be printed?
Sorry,
I want to print some numbers. I want to print some number. I have 5 numbers, okay? But
yes.
I want to print from 1. I want to print from 1 to 5. I want to print from 1 to 4. Sorry.
What
do I enter in the range? What are the ranges that I will enter?
1 for the first number and 5 for the second.
No. Do you understand my question? I have. Sorry? Alex, listen. I have 5 numbers. Okay? I want to print 4 of the numbers. Okay? I will have from 1 to 5 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I want to print 4 of those numbers. What are the ranges that I will put? Anybody, if you know the answer, you can answer it. But I'm just asking it because I want to see if you understand the ranges.
Is it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yes, I want to print 1. I have numbers, 5 numbers, right? Which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to print 4 of those numbers. What are the ranges that I will put?
Can I answer it?
Yeah, sure. You should know it.
Is it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yes, that is how the indexing works. But I want to know, in your range bus, we have the range bus, right? You see this range bus. what will I put for me to print those 4 numbers?
Do we so that you'll print 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yes, I'll print 1, 2, 3, and 4. But what goes into our range?
Want to be 1 and 5.
1 and 5. Because I want you to understand that range, how it happens.
That's what I said before.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I didn't know.
Sorry if I didn't say it clearly.
Yeah, maybe it was not clear, but I'm sorry, I didn't know. So I just want us to. So those are some of the things we've covered. So Samuel, can you tell me how we can use the continue keyword?
Oh, is it by tapping the space bar?
No,
the continue.
We talked about the continue keyword in loop, in for when we are talking about for loops, you remember? So why do we need it? Why is it necessary? The continue keyword. Let me show you. Sorry, I don't know where it is right now. So you remember when we talked about this, the while loop will continue, when we talked about skipping?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do we use it?
Do we use it, like, for example, if we put 1, 2, 3, do we use it, then we go to like 4 and 5?
No. So the continue keyword, let me start with the while loop. Do you know how the while loop works?
Is it just keeps going on and on?
Yes. So during the lecture, I talked about that we have 3 types of loops, and I said the while loop, the for loop, and the do while loop. You remember? So I gave series of examples of how to use the while loop, adding your conditions and everything. And I also talked about you can skip a particular task in while loop. So I think you should, when we finish this lecture, even though you don't have a laptop, please go through the lecture notes. It will help you. Okay. So you might not be able to catch everything during the lecture because of the time. But if you go through the notes, you'll be able to understand most of the things. But please, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, and I'm always ready and available to answer your questions. Zikora,
how do I see the notes and stuff?
Yeah, it's on the comment section.
Oh, okay.
And you see, check, let me know if you can download the note on the comment section. We also record this lecture. I would after I normally work on the lecture recordings before I will send it. So I will send it tomorrow. So you can ask your parents to give you the recording so that you can watch it again. Okay. So some people, they prefer watching videos, some people they prefer reading. So whichever one that is preferable for you. So Zikora and Oliver, can somebody tell me what you understand lecture? The lecture, what did you learn today?
We learned about loops.
And like why we need loops. We need the loops to avoid repeating actions all the time.
No, to help avoid repeating actions
all the time. Like it helps us save times and avoid mistakes.
Okay. So you have a particular task and you want it to run multiple times, so you can use loops. How many kinds of loops did we discuss today?
3.
What are they?
The while loops. The while loops. What's the other one called? And the while loops will continue, and the axe. No, that's the wrong one. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Axe until they type like exit or something. No. Okay. Oh no. The for loops, the while loops to continue, and what's it called?
So
and
Yeah, you are getting it, but obviously you are still struggling. Okay. So try as much as possible to read this thing. Just take out your time. It will not take you more than 1 hour, Sonto.
Okay.
And I want you to also apply what we've learned today in that calculator code. So,
Okay.
Alice, where is Gabriel?
Gabriel's in another room, in the next room.
Okay, so he didn't join today. So, Alice, I think you prefer
He's
joining.
going to.
We
Um,
finished. We finished the lecture.
Oh,
You, Alice, you're attending a Python class. You're not attending Scratch class. I wanted to tell you
oh,
that. But you did very well. If you want to also
sorry, ma, I didn't even know.
no, I know. When we started, I told you you might be in the wrong lecture, that your lecture had finished, but it's still fine. You participated very well. And if you want to be joining this lecture, it will still help you because okay.
Okay,
So
I'll do it on my iPad. Yes, ma.
okay. Okay, so please, if you have the note, try to complete all the tasks. Like I said, you must show me your password code next week. Your password attempt code. Let me show you. Look at it over here. So also tell Gabriel that since he missed the class, we have password attempt code that he should complete it. Please give the lecture note to him. Okay. So Samuel, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask if I might be in the wrong class.
No. Have you done coding before?
No.
Is this your first time?
Yep.
Do you understand what today? How engaging was it? Do you understand it? Does it sound strange? Or do you want to
It
start
sounds
from
a
class?
Yeah, it sounds a bit strange, but I'm understanding it. I just don't know how to do the assignment.
Okay. How old are you? I'm sorry to ask.
13.
13. Okay. You just be in this class. You'll be able to you should be able to catch up. Okay. So
Okay.
so see you next week, same time. Saturday next week, same time, by 7. Alex, please tell
Okay.
Gabriel that the lecture is by 7. But your own
Yes,
Alex is supposed to be 6. But if you want to
yes.
also join this lecture, you don't you can join, okay?
Okay, ma, I'll join. I'll join this one. Thank you, ma.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay. Take care, everybody. See you next week.
Okay.
Just easy fridge.
It's meant to be done.
Okay, Oliver, see you next week. See everybody.
Bye.
Take care of yourself. Bye.
Um. So how do I do the final practice task?